ready for another lesson?
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Back Row Banter, your favorite casual movie talk podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Adam Schwartz, and on this week's episode, we'll be talking about the movie Underwater. But of course, before we get to any of that, I am joined today by Mariana Nathaniel Gingrich.
What up, folks? I'm the Mariana Trench because I'm deep. How's it going? How you guys doing?
It's going good, man. Mariana's Trench, probably like top 5 like scariest thoughts in my mind is like what's down there.
Just what's there.
Is that the deepest trench?
Deepest
place on Earth.
On Earth, yeah.
Earth, yeah, deepest part of the Earth's crust.
Yeah. 8 miles below.
I knew the
surface.
name was familiar.
Yeah, I think
so.
It's
Not as deep as Underwater filmed. I think this goes up to 6.9 miles in depth.
Yeah, well, it's set in the Mariana Trench.
It's set in the Mariana Trench.
Oh,
yeah.
There we go.
But yeah, I think as far above altitude that Everest is, Mariana Trench is the same below for the most part.
I think it's deeper.
Oh yeah, because Everest is
not
like
by
6.
not by a ton.
Something.
And I think this is 8.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Actually.
And this is the funny part about that difference. Obviously, is that's obviously the highest peak and the lowest depth of the Earth's crust. And there's the Neil deGrasse Tyson gives an interview or a line on a podcast one time about how if you shrunk the Earth down to the size of a cue ball, it would actually be smoother than a cue ball because of like that difference. Really, when you think about it,
sure,
in that when you in that scale, yeah, like it's actually smoother than a cue ball would be with how much like that's how smooth the Earth is and how round it is. So fun fact.
Interesting.
But yeah, Mariana's Trench. I don't like thinking about it. I don't like it at all.
I just read a whole book that was set down there as well too. Similar thoughts as well too. Kind of what you're saying. It's just one of those places that like humans are not supposed to be at all.
No.
Like you're just.
Have we been down there?
Yeah. James Cameron.
Is that what James Cameron went?
Yeah,
I was gonna say. I know there's that famous expedition.
Based on a real story.
I knew TJ Miller was playing James Cameron. I had that thought.
Yeah, Little Paul is actually Little James.
Yeah, that's funny. Also joining us today is trenched up Tyler Dallas.
I'm all fucking trenched up over here.
Trenched up, dude.
You got a trench coat?
Trench coat?
No, I don't. I have like one coat.
Fair.
Yeah. Leah got it for me for Christmas like 2 years ago, maybe.
All right.
Yeah, what kind of coat is it? What kind of brand you got?
I think it's Michael Kors.
Brand is Trench.
Trench.
We could just make a brand called Trench.
We could do it right now.
Yeah.
People would buy it.
Yeah, no, I'm
It's a good
I'm
name
good.
for a brand.
Trench. We'll put that
Rounding out the squadron
on the back. I'm all trenched up.
Yeah.
Trenched.
I'm all what a tagline.
We'll just keep using it.
What does
And
that
just
mean? Nobody knows what it
different
means. But it's provocative.
Yeah.
Get some people going.
Trenched.
That might be one of like the most like well-known, like I know it's from a movie obviously, but because it's also in a Kanye song, like that is a line that like.
Do you know what movie that is?
Yeah.
Step
I was
Brothers,
gonna ask. I don't know what
Nah.
it
It's
Step Brothers.
it is
Not
Blades
Step
of
Brothers.
Glory.
Blades of Glory.
Blades of Glory.
Oh,
The-
really? Wow.
the Will Ferrell, John Heder movie.
Yeah. I'm familiar.
Interesting.
Danced to one song and one song only.
Interesting. Also interesting that Adam calls that a Kanye song opposed to a Jay-Z song.
Sure.
Just a totally interesting take as well. Just kind of
Is
hear
it not Kanye?
It's
Is it
from
Jay-Z?
It
Watch
is,
the
but,
Throne.
like-
yeah, it's the
yeah,
Jewel
it's
album.
also it's also a Jay-Z song as well.
My mistake. I am and will never claim to be like good with song titles and artists and like that kind of thing. Like I know countless number of songs where I could probably sing a majority of the lyrics or like know the songs pretty well, but like I couldn't tell you what their name, like the name of the song or like who sings it sometimes. Like I'm not good at that stuff. My girlfriend,
I hear
great
you,
at that
brother.
stuff. Here's a rap song like 3 times. She's singing along to it on the 4th listen. It's nuts.
Really?
It's kind of crazy. Yeah, she's really good with it.
Interesting.
And
Yeah.
he's been dating Little Kim for the last 3 months, but we didn't really talk
Mm.
about that. That was the first female
Yeah,
rapper I could think of.
Yeah, for the listeners, yeah. That's actually Adam's partner.
Plot
That's
twist.
funny.
Rounding out the squadron over
Also,
there.
and you got served.
I was gonna say, Little Kim's got to be pushing.
That is true.
She's got to be
That
pushing
is true.
50 at this point.
Rounding
Like, that is
out
not a current reference.
Rounding out the group is Big Breach BlakeHolder.
Hey, what up? What up?
Breach.
As
Like a
usual,
quippy
was
line
wondering what
for
we were going to go
Breach,
with.
but-
I didn't know if we were going to go boat.
There wasn't a lot of good things. See, no boats in this movie. Really, no boats in this
Are
movie.
there? Yeah, that's true. That is true.
Not really.
And I would also try the argument of, because it's completely submerged underwater, is it a boat, or would it be considered like a marine, like a submarine,
Submersible?
or would
I
it
don't-
be like technically would you just refer to it as a ship, like you know?
I don't think
you
it's.
would in
I think it's
space.
different. It's a rig. It's a rig.
He does say it. Doesn't the captain say like, "What's going on with my rig" or something like that, or what's the
Yeah,
status
it's
of
a
my
rig.
That's just captain talk, dude.
No,
Any captain of any vessel anywhere in any place or time is always going to call their ship, whatever you want to call it, their rig. That's pure captain talk.
yeah, but you have like oil rigs. I don't
Yeah,
have a
that's-
second
that's
example.
just them
but you have
calling
oil
their
rigs
thing.
like that. They're drilling for. I'm assuming oil in this movie.
It is oil.
Um,
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Sure.
Capitalism is
Right.
the ingredient in movies.
I was
To
gonna
me,
say-
yeah. To me, this is just a giant oil rig.
Should we talk about the movie?
Hmm.
And
Probably.
maybe call about
We
say
could.
what it is.
Probably.
We could. Well, I already said what it is. It's underwater. But if you want more information on our review segment, I think Nathaniel, you could tell the listener about that.
Oh well, I certainly could. Should I? I mean, do you want me to? Okay. I won't.
Usually,
Well, here, folks, listen. If you're new, or perhaps you've just forgotten, the way the review segment works here on Back Row Banter is it is split into 2 segments. There is the non-spoiler section, then there's the spoiler section. That's pretty self-explanatory. In the non-spoiler section, we'll go over the IMDb page, who wrote it, who directed it, who's in it, all that good stuff. We'll go around the squadron, see how we feel about the IMDb summary, see if we would recommend this movie. It's got to be a yes or no. There is no nuance on the internet. From then on, it'll be spoiler time. I'll play a spoiler noise just so you won't have anything spoiled for you. But check our show notes, which will have everything written out in terms of timestamps and all that good stuff. And be sure to check back in for our ranking up on our Entropy list, which is our big list of everything we've watched on the podcast ranked. With that being said, Adam, tell me about Underwater.
I would love to. This is not a new movie released in the year 2020. Did this come out just before the pandemic? Is that what we said last week?
we said we got eight.
Jan.
It definitely
January
got COVID.
2020.
COVID.
Yeah. Unfortunate. But I do remember like trailers and stuff for this.
Yeah.
It was not really. This is pre-pod too.
This was
Technically.
pre-pod.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. So this is before I watched many horror movies.
It's in the it's in that weird realm of pre-pod, but also post all of us actually knowing each other in real
Yeah,
time.
because I think
Like we
Yeah.
don't have a lot of movies like this on this.
I think
podcast.
Blake and I talked about this one when it came out, right?
Yeah,
or-
I believe so.
yeah.
I probably. I mean, we. I feel like I remember you guys talking about this to an extent.
Yeah,
I don't know.
feel
We talked
we
about a
did.
lot of movies back in the day, but
Yeah, I have a
Um,
memory of Blake and I talking about this and be like, it's not bad. Like,
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And I'll kind of have some of those same sentiments today once we get to it. But
yeah.
yeah, take us
released
where
in
we're going, Adam.
2020. Yeah. Rated PG-13 with a runtime of 1 hour and 35 minutes and IMDb rating of 5.9 out of 10. It's directed by William Eubank and written by Brian Duffield, Adam Kozid, and Brian Duffield. The cast includes Kristen Stewart, Vincent Castle, Mahmoudou Athi, I'm going to go with, TJ Miller, John Gallagher Jr., Jessica Henwick, and Gunnar Wright. There are 2 more cast credits. Fiona Renee, who plays Godmother, but then I had to read this one out. Amanda Troop plays a character named Poseidon Patty. I don't know.
I have to
don't
assume
know.
that's motion capture for the for the
Probably.
for the some of the other
If I had to guess,
creatures.
if I had to guess, that would be what it is. But shout out to our cast there. The IMDb summary reads as follows: A crew of oceanic researchers working for a deep sea drilling company try to get to safety after a mysterious earthquake devastates their deep water research and drilling facility located at the bottom of the Mariana Trench. Very good summary. Doesn't do a lot to like, suspense, a little bit like that. It's not like, doing any of the fancy wordplay that we'll sometimes get with these IMDb summaries.
But I feel like the movie's kind of like that too, right?
Sure. And I will say the summary doesn't give away too much, and it gets us straight to the point. This does tell you what it's about. So good summary there. I really don't have to fill in many gaps. It's for more or less terms. This is the descent in Marianas Trench. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, pretty close.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right, there's your comparison. All right, fellas, how we feeling? Is this anyone else's first time watch besides me?
No.
I guess not.
No,
yeah.
We've all caught it. It seems like besides Adam. Do you kind of want us to go around the three of us? Then Adam shares his thoughts last, being the new viewer. Or do you want to go first, Adam?
Let me go first, real quick. Let me get this out of the way. Feel pretty much how you guys are feeling. This is not a bad movie by any means. It's pretty good in some parts, and it has, it's better than it probably should be. It's it's got its moments. It's got some suspense. It's not the scariest movie I've ever seen.
No, it's PG-13.
I think, and it's PG-13. Yeah, so it's
great point, Nathaniel. Yeah.
But it's got some good points to it. Interesting watching this when we compare it to Last Breath that we watched 2 weeks. Well, kind of reviewed last week and then watched 2 weeks ago. Because interesting how they kind of change suspense on you, and also like filming techniques and filming these underwater scenes and whatnot. So interesting watching that and kind of comparing a little bit. So yeah, I definitely enjoyed it. Really, like I said, shouldn't be as good as it is, but it not gonna be groundbreaking by any means. Probably not as good as The Descent, but pretty close. I don't know. It's pretty solid.
Yeah. That's
Go ahead, Blake.
You want to? Okay, I'll say I'll jump in here. One, I'm glad you feel that way, man. So this is one, as you kind of heard earlier, the three of us, me, Tyler, Nathaniel, were able to talk about in real time, seeing this when we were all working at the store. But this is also only my second time ever watching this.
Sure.
Right. So I saw it in theaters, right, and I was like, oh, okay, better than I thought. And then I sat down now and was like, hey, let's see how I feel about it. Essentially 5 years later, which is crazy. Yeah. Half a decade later, this movie came out ago. And I still feel the same way. I think this movie, I think I like it more on first watch. But I think where the real impact on this movie is ultimately going in blind. And I think if you go in with some additional information under the assumption that there are certain themes and other beings in this movie, I think that can kind of jade you. But if you're just like going in up like, oh, okay, like an underwater horror movie, let's see what we got going on, I think you're pleasantly surprised. We're like, there's a few jump scares, there's some good lore, character development is adequate for what you need for a PG-13 horror movie, right? They are cutout characters per se. But like they don't spend time fucking trying to get you to understand the characters. They just fucking jump right in from like second 45, right, all the way through the end. Solid runtime as well, and they're able to hold tension pretty well throughout the entire ordeal. So yeah, even on second view, man, I overall I still like it. And I still have that same sentiment of that first viewing. I was like, hey, you know what, this this movie has no right to be this good.
Sure.
It was dumped in like January,
Yeah.
which we all know is like purgatory for movies.
And I think
right?
I think it was one of those ones that was like started by like 20th Century Fox, and then like Disney
Yeah.
bought the company kind of thing, and like they were like, we
Yeah.
don't know what to do with this, but like we're putting it
Yeah.
out, like kind of thing. It's been on
Yeah.
the shelf. Like I feel like it was like on the shelf for like a year or two before even
Yeah.
2020
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Absolutely. So yeah, at that time, it's one where you've always heard rumblings. You saw teaser trailers and whatnot 18 months before it even came to theaters, right? And then it was like, oh, they actually finally put this out. And it's a pleasant surprise, man. It's a pleasant surprise. So that's kind of my thoughts, and a little difficult to kind of talk about this movie in terms of how you really feel about it without going into spoilers, as I mentioned earlier. So that's kind of my rough thoughts. I'll pass it over to the fellas.
Yeah, I'll pick it up from there. You know what this movie reminds me of is the movie Crawl. Not from like a theme perspective, but just that like good B movie that knows what it is and like is not trying to be anything else but that. But it's just like, hey, got an hour and a half. We're gonna make you forget that you're sitting in a theater in Schaumburg, Illinois, and we're going on an adventure, right? And I feel like, man, there's such a place for those movies. Like there's such a realm out there for the 120, 130 minute film, or excuse me, 90 minute to 100 minute film that just knows what it is, gets you in and out, is like knows its characters, knows what it's professional. It's a professional film. Like I feel to Blake's point, starts out the gate. It's on a jump, and then you're just going. I think it does a good job of capturing that feeling of like we are underwater, as well as the claustrophobia of it. I think it's different than Last Breath, where Last Breath like does a lot. Like you're never worried about the guys in the like outside of the bell and being like crushed or something like that. But like every time they're like walking around there, I was like, if there's a small leak, our gang's exploding, right? Or imploding, I should say. Which also, I feel like after the, what was that, 2021? When was the sub explosion?
The Ocean Gate Titan, whatever it's called, Titan something.
That was last year. Maybe.
No way.
Fuck.
That was
really?
less than 2 years ago. That was less than 2 years ago, dude. That was very recent.
If that's 2024,
that was like 18 months ago. That was 2023, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, because I was working at Best Buy still. I was still working at Best Buy.
I was too. So that's 2023 for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
But damn, like, yeah, obviously after that as well too, and that kind of thing, I feel like that also puts everything in perspective as well, as opposed to like, we know what happens when you're down there and a thing fucking implodes at this point. Like, so yeah, like I really exactly to Blake's point, this movie has no right being as good as it does. I think it's a movie that knows what it's going for and succeeds at that level. And then I think it's a movie that has got a great cast. Like genuinely, Kristen Stewart's awesome. Vincent Cassel, like that's a dude that you just know when you're signing him up. Like that's a professional at this point. And even John Gallagher, Jessica Henwick, like those are two other actors that like at this point I've seen them in other things. I know what to expect from them on here. I think they both are admirable. Obviously now I feel like the TJ Miller thing, you're like, it's a bit odd knowing what we know about him at certain points, but even he's good in this as well too. I think his little Alice in Wonderland motif is well constructed and like continuing throughout. And obviously Little Paul is the highlight of the movie. So yeah, kick it to Tyler.
Titan happened June 18th, 2023, just in case anybody was
There it
wondering.
is.
But as far as the film goes, I mean, yeah, I also have had a good time with this. I think we've all been kind of, on the same plane here as far as...
We didn't watch it together, did we? When
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't believe so. But yeah, no, I think we're all on the same mind thought here where, we're all, this movie doesn't really have any right being this good. And it is just, it's just fun. it gives you a genuine sense of fear. You also see it in all the characters, which is really great. You know, everybody wants to be here. You do kind of get into that B kind of tier list with like some of the CGI cuts that you see and everything like that. But as far as like the sets go, out like when there is no water present, essentially, you know, it looks damn good. It's a good set. Things blowing up and shit happening all the time, and it's wild. So it's a good ride. I know that there is a good sense of fear on the watcher side. I did get Leah to kind of watch it. She was kind of forced into it. I was like, well, this is what's on. This is what I'm doing tonight, and we're going to do it. And she was like, okay, well, it's probably going to suck. And that's just more because of the fear factor, which is a great show, by the way. But but I got a couple of jump scares out of her. So I know that the jump scares in this work. Not that it's overly hard to jump scare my wife, but you know, that's what they're there for, and it's great. So there are some really good gore that kind of happens in this.
For PG-13, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's great. And yeah, you get some other things that I don't necessarily want to spoil quite yet. So not that, you know, there's, you know, we said, it's good to go in as blind as possible in this movie. So I won't go into any further things that I enjoy until we get into spoilers. But I'm definitely a recommend.
Personally, I think we need more buzz cut Kristen Stewart. Just maybe like the next 2 or 3 roles, maybe just cut the hair off, you know, just see how we're feeling about it.
She had short hair in Love Lies Bleeding, no?
I believe so.
Is it ponytail?
Right?
No, she maybe
it's not. Maybe it's not a buzz cut,
like a bob. Yeah.
Right.
I'm looking at pictures now. It's like just above shoulder length. So it is a little bit longer. But I agree. I don't think the buzz cut is a bad look for her. So yeah. All right. I think that's a recommend all around. Then we can go ahead and head into spoilers. So if you've not seen Underwater and do not want it spoiled for you, go ahead and check the episode description where that's a timestamp you can jump to where you'll be taken to the ranking of the movie Hop Upon our HP list.
Hop Upon.
Spoiler time, Nathaniel.
You want a spoiler sound? It's just our intro song. Oh yeah. Spoiler time.
There it is.
Spoilers for everyone.
But yeah, fellas, I mean, going into this blind was so cool. I didn't know how much it would pull from Alien, right? Like you can see how it does kind of pull from that world in terms of these people in a unforgiving environment or an unfamiliar environment to human nature. Also, this external entity, right, that could potentially harm you, as well as just the environment itself. And there's just a lot of similars that you kind of catch to Alien, from like opening shots, just how they like view everything in different corridors. Yeah, it's overall, man, this was a pleasant surprise. I didn't expect this to be like a Lovecraftian horror film by any means. I thought they'd be down there. You might see like the smaller, I don't even know what we want to call the
merman kind of thing.
Yeah, merman, one mouth, Pac-Man eating habit. You know what I mean? But like, let alone seeing like a large like Cthulhu god entity at the end. Like that's the scene where I was like, okay, I like this movie.
Yeah, I think it almost reminds me of Cloverfield in that way, like original Cloverfield, where like you have like that bit where they're like down in the subway and they're like dealing with like the weird monster
the
fleas
spider things.
kind of thing. Yeah. And it's almost like, oh yeah, it's a weird thing from another planet, and it's dirty. Great, it's infected with mice or whatever. But yeah, I think that's a great little reveal. The like whole like sucker or like tentacle thing comes up, and then you realize that all those ones are in there as well too. And you're like, ugh.
You're like, oh shit.
Yeah. I think Crawl is like what I said, but the other thing that reminded me of, you said Alien, but the fuck, what was the other one that I just had it in my head and then it just ran away. There was another movie that
Pandorm?
Pandorm's a good call. Descent's obviously a good call as well too, but fuck, what was it? I don't know, but like
Monster Flick?
Yeah, or maybe I was just thinking about the I was thinking about the scene that I always remember from this movie, which is when they're crawling through that like the debris kind of thing, and they like have to go up and over. Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
When it's like her and Rodrigo, and then they go back and find Paul, and then they have to like kind of go up and around, and like something about that scene with all the concrete around them and the water pouring in makes me realize all of the water that's like sitting on top of them kind of thing, and that's like the most claustrophobic scene to me overall. And then they find that body there and everything, and just that whole bit I think is when the movie is I think it's just really working really well at that point. I wish it leaned into more of that at some points, you know. But I would say still, again, like kind of like to all our points, like it is something that surprised me on initial viewing. On the second viewing, I feel like even though I knew what was going to happen, it was that moment where I was like, okay, yeah, this is a good movie. And yeah, we've liked Brian Duffield. He did that what was the alien invasion one a couple of years ago? It's like No One Will Believe You, or like you can't.
Oh, No One Will Save You.
The
Hulu joint.
Yeah.
The Hulu joint.
He wrote that one and I think directed it as well. So I think he's I'm interested in Mr. Duffield. I'll be following what he does next for sure.
Mm-hmm. Would you like to know more?
Would you like to know more?
Yeah. So how was the reveal for you, Adam? In terms of, obviously they have those mermaid creature gals entities, whatever.
Well, they have the baby first, right?
Which was like very reminiscent of, like, in my opinion, like Alien. They take it in, bring it, slap it right down. Like, okay, what is this thing? They're trying to figure out what it is. And then you hear the mermaid creature thing kind of like above them.
Poseidon Patty.
But yeah, what's your take on that stuff, Adam? Were you pleased to see the larger, like, Cthulhu, HP, Lovecraft entity at the end? Like that's where this totally took me by storm. I didn't think they'd go like balls to the walls that far. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's like something that did kind of have me guessing a little bit, was how big are they gonna go with this? Like, obviously there's something crashing into the rig, as we've decided is called, Tyler. The rig. That is breaking it down and everything. So I'm like, all right, is this a megalodon type situation? Are we doing big fish,
it's a
big
megalodon.
shark, big monster?
That's actually an interesting spin.
That's where I was. That's where kind of my head was at. I was like, is this a megalodon type thing? But then it was eventually revealed that there's this little baby thing. I'm like, all right. And then eventually we see like the more adult humanoid, patties. And so, by the time like the movie kind of was approaching its climax, I wasn't even really thinking about the big baddie anymore. I just figured, oh, it must be like a large group of these people, or maybe there's like some bigger ones or anything like that. I had no idea it was going to be kaiju size, monster thing like that. It definitely took me by surprise a little bit, because by that point in the movie, I kind of shied away from thinking they would go that way. So I was a little surprised.
Yeah, because it's a bad enough problem, right? You're down at a super high depth and things are going wrong, and then it's like, oh shit! The reveal is the fact that it's an elder god who's been like hanging out below the sea for this whole time, and then like you see when Kristen Stewart kind of like realizes what's happening, she's just like, oh shit. Okay.
Yeah, they give you the good scene where she shoots the flare gun.
Yeah,
Right,
100%.
so, like kind of like
yeah.
obviously it's dark as fuck down there, so you can't see anything.
It's the
feet in front of
Godzilla
you.
2014 reveal.
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. And she's like, "What is that?" And then she shoots, and you watch it travel.
Yeah.
The fucking 2,000 meters.
Yeah.
Then it lights up, and you're just like, "Oh, that's way bigger than I thought it's gonna be."
Such a good reveal, right? Like it is. It's like it's setting you up for that fear of the dark, where you don't, where you have that pitch black around you, and like even when I'm at home and like I'm walking into my home and I'm walking into my room or something, and it's pitch black. I know in my head the room is, 10 feet by 10 feet or 12 feet by 12 feet. Like I have an idea of the dimensions, right? But it's the idea of like I'm walking out into pitch black and then all of a sudden I have no concept of how big things are. And then the moment that I think that I realize it or have a better concept, it's so much bigger than I imagined. And like that's such a great fear that I feel like is so innate and so built into our DNA still. It's just great stuff. It's great movie making. It's great filmmaking. I enjoyed it. I'm so happy this movie's out there. And yeah, Pop could be my favorite Kristen Stewart.
Whoa,
Dude, Twilight.
Ooh.
Come on.
Obviously Twilight.
I mean, even
but like
Yeah.
but like, I just think it's a great little movie, man. And like,
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's definitely pretty high up there for my Kristen Stewart markings, for sure. One of the big things that I was gonna say that I enjoy was obviously the creatures. It's definitely not necessarily where you think it might go. At the time, you might just think that the main problem is the collapsing, but then once you hear kind of like the growl of this thing kind of outside the hull of the rig, then you kind of get an idea that you're dealing with something, and it always kind of reminds me of like the Balrog from Lord of the Rings. Like they dug too deep, too greedily, too fast.
Yeah.
And, that's kind of like what woke this guy up, and so it kind of gives you the premise of just like, well, it's our fault. Shouldn't have been down there fucking around anyways.
Right. Yeah, and that's essentially what like the what is this? Is this the Jessica character?
Yeah.
Or the Emily character, I believe.
Emily, yeah.
Yeah, that's basically her take, right? She's like, "Oh my god, we did this to ourselves." So yeah,
which is true
in
the plot of the story, right? Like because you find the original station and kind of like understand that maybe they already knew that there was something down there and that kind of thing. And yeah, I think again, little good backstory told throughout the story itself and that kind of thing. And like you have the whole thing with the captain and his daughter as well too, and kind of like all that
For sure.
all that jazz. But
as well as people trying to, they give you enough backstory to your point, the captain and the daughter, other characters wanting to get back to land per se for like different partners.
Got a corgi.
Stewart's, Kristen Stewart's got she's lost the previous partner.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. So they kind of have that play. As well as even just the multitude of deaths they go through in this, where I think it was Adam's point where it's pretty gruesome for a PG-13 flick. Like you get a classic implosion that we thought everybody was.
Yeah, Rodrigo's is tough, and you got like his hand floating by and shit, and you're like, oh, I thought that was my guy.
Sure.
I thought he was gonna make it. Like,
yeah, right, because he's the second character they introduced.
Right. Yeah.
And they keep talking about water pressure, so you're like, okay, like somebody's got to implode eventually, and like they do it pretty well too, because like it's like light crack, and then just like implosion, and they all scatter.
Yep.
So that's a good one. The other one is the T.J. Miller character.
I was gonna
where
say
he gets basically pulled like out of his suit.
Yeah, that's one.
Which
That's
is
a
like,
real good one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one, and like,
Just
that's the one I forgot about.
Yeah, didn't like doesn't go crazy on like the gore effects or anything like that, but like you just feel it. Like you're there too, right?
Yeah. And that's the one I always forgot about, right? Like I knew the implosion was part of it, but I was like, how does this guy die? I kind of forgot. Then I was like, oh shit, they basically just fucking pull him and implode him out of the suit, basically. Because once the suit's compromised, you implode. Yeah. Overall, it's man. I like it.
Yeah.
Way better than a lot of bullshit they could have given us.
Oh, for sure. One of the other things I want to give props to is pacing. This thing literally kicks off.
Oh,
like
so
right
fast
at the start.
Yeah.
And it just it kind of just drags you along with you the whole way. Everything feels like kind of like right where it's supposed to be, and I don't feel like things are moving too fast at all. Like nothing's getting like too scrunched up together. It's cut very well. To give you a good sense of things, and it's only like what, hour and a half.
Yeah, I think
that's quick.
In a lesser movie, right, you'd spend like 15-20 minutes of like Kristen Stewart starting at the top and like showing up there and then like going like descending down the like, rig or something like that. Yeah, exactly. And you have like maybe like I can imagine like a overhead narration or something about
like the beginning of Deep Blue Sea.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But instead, all of that's like kind of communicated through the titles, and then you start right there at the bottom of the ocean, kind of thing.
Yeah, that and the newspaper clippings, right? So if you read through those, they talk about kind of things that have been going on, strange noses, drilling site cancellations. So, and I believe they close with those clippings as well. Yeah, don't they? Yeah.
Well, it's the results of what happened to the station, kind of.
Gotcha. Thing. Yeah. Good catch. Yeah. So yeah, they do it pretty well. And then ultimately, I mean, Kristen Stewart's character takes, I guess, to wrap it up, right? She
makes the noble sacrifice.
The protagonist, takes the sacrifice where she implodes the rig, as we keep calling it, to sacrifice two characters. What is it, Emily, and what's the other gentleman's name? I can't think of it off the top of my head.
John Gallagher.
Yeah, the John Gallagher Jr. character. They get in these pods. Of course, one doesn't work. So this movie does have a lot of also like cliche horror things too. Where there's a lot of scenes of like Kristen Stewart in like underwear and bra, and it's like I don't really know why she's running around in underwear and bra.
There is some moments where I'm like,
the second time.
Does she really need to be in underwear right now?
I was like, they could probably clothe her right now.
Yeah, that would make sense.
I mean, you're gonna tell me that
I think that's my biggest gripe with this movie. To be fair,
should Sigourney Weaver not be in the space underwear in Alien?
Yeah, Nathaniel, probably not.
Yeah,
well,
and that's exactly how it reads, though, Nathaniel. Like this is pulled like straight from Alien.
Yeah,
like you know what I mean. It's like 100%. Somebody walking around in underwear again.
100%. That's cinema. So, yeah. I'm behind it.
I feel you.
Oh, geez. Okay.
But yeah, she makes the noble sacrifice to implode the ship while the two other colleagues take these escape pods while they're being chased by the little what did Adam call them?
Patties.
Poseidon patties.
Well, Poseidon Patty is the name that's attributed to this actress on the credits.
Okay.
So I don't.
Why the Poseidon patties, an army of those are following them up to the surface. And we, as the viewer, have already established that the Poseidon patties can ascend and descend in water pressure at infinite rates because their body calibrates accordingly, of course. And humans do not. So they're going up there trying to chase the
that's a good point.
Pods.
The escape pod will 100% get the bends on the way up. Like they are not pressurized for that shit.
Yeah, I don't like I was wondering that.
They're showing up looking like a fucking pretzel at the top.
So that was the funny thing to me, as well as on first time, as well as second time. And what else is also funny is that the moment where Kristen Stewart's in there contemplating like what to do, like looking at trying to fix the last escape pod, and then also she's like, you know what, like we're sitting on they have that narration over like we're sitting on a lot of energy, and she pulls up a map and then it's like blast radius, and it's like they're perfectly out of the blast radius. Yeah, that's the only thing I was like, all right, that's kind of fucking corny. And then she hits like the space button is like the activate button. It's like no passcode or anything.
Never in any human history has the PC been controlled by the space bar.
I honestly, it was so obvious and so corny. I had to respect it.
Oh, for sure.
Kind of 100%, right?
It's a movie.
I'm pretty sure.
You know what? That blast radius does need to be displayed like that.
I'm pretty sure in the first Iron Man, they like activate the suit by hitting the space bar, like the Mark 1. Like, I'm pretty sure.
That's funny.
It's Control Enter.
Yeah. It's something.
There it is.
Yeah. That's wild that you fucking know that, by the way. But
yeah, for sure.
Let's not gloss over that shit. But
Yeah, for sure.
It's wild that I pulled it. It's another wild shit that you knew.
Yeah, that he knows the actual keys involved.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's one thing to reference. It's another thing to correct, Tyler. I don't know.
I've got the keystrokes logged. I have for a while.
Well, no, I actually have a tattoo of Control Enter on my forearm.
Everyone knows. Real fans know what it means.
Yeah, that's funny. But yeah, fellas, overall,
low key, that's not a bad idea for a tattoo now.
That's really not.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
actually not
solid. That's actually solid.
Yeah, 10 years ago it would be corny, but now it's a deep cut.
I would have got it either way.
Control Enter.
Solid.
And just Jensen underneath.
Yeah.
Yo, did we talk about my homie who just explodes in that one elevator scene?
Rodrigo.
Oh yeah.
Mahmoud.
The implosion.
Mahmoud
Yeah, that was
Alonzi or whatever. And Jessica Henwick just screaming as his body is like floating around.
Yeah,
that's a great scene where she's just freaking out and like that dude's just bloody mass is just hanging out around her.
Nuts.
We love it.
That's about as crazy as you can go in a PG-13, right? Like, that's,
for sure.
Dude, I can't believe. And now thinking back on that scene, how is this PG-13?
Well, genuinely, when I played it,
their one F word too, don't they?
Oh, I don't know.
I think so.
I thought
TJ Miller says fuck.
He might, for sure.
Yeah, if anybody, it's him, right?
But yeah, it was definitely when like I played it this time, I was like, oh shit, this is PG-13. Like, am I not watching the right version of this movie? Like, I genuinely had that thought as well too. But yeah, I think this stands
that
up
even
there.
Adds a.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Like, for me, the high water mark on PG-13 horror movies is Signs. I think this kind of like stands in that same realm overall.
Yeah. I was gonna jump in and say it's like, yeah, I think that's what adds to the initial surprise of watching this film and and having a positive takeaway. Personally, because like you went into this in real time of like January 2020 release,
100%.
pushed back 2.5 years, and it's a PG-13 horror movie.
Yeah.
Like, this is the Bye-Bye Man. This is Truth or Dare. Yeah. This is, you know what I mean? Like, this is whatever.
Tarot or whatever that was last year.
Yeah. And then you watch it and you're like, oh
shit.
This is way better than I thought it'd be. But obviously, I guess IMDb doesn't agree because they have it at a 5.3. But
I disagree. I think this is above that. Not by much,
man.
but this is a solid 6.5. Like, this is a solid 6.5 to 7.5. Like, on a great day.
I totally agree with you on that. And this would be one for like a quick trivia if somebody's like, give me like your favorite IMDb movies rated like below a 6.0.
Sure.
Like, now knowing that this is a 5 point something, like this could be something I'd be like, well, have you seen Underwater?
Yeah, sure.
you know what I mean?
One you can stand behind kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, fellas, it's I'm just happy we all agree. We all agree and like it. So not groundbreaking, not the greatest horror movie ever, but like way better than it has any business being.
Agreed. I was gonna say my only gripe is lighting.
Sure.
Sometimes it is just terrible to be able to see things. But other than that, it's good.
Did everybody watch this on Hulu?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Was anybody's audio like not synced up? I was like, I swear this audio is behind by like.
Not that I noticed, but I wouldn't be surprised, right?
Okay.
Like, because I think the first time I saw it, it was not on Hulu. I'm pretty sure I saw it on like Netflix or Prime first.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so small where it's hard to notice. And obviously they have mask on
Sure.
like 3/4 of the movie. So like it's really not important besides the first like 10 minutes of the movie where you're watching her talk and it's like that seems just a tad bit off. But
man, how
maybe it was
scary!
me.
How scary is a fucking Mariana Trench? Like, if we, like, but I think Adam was talking about that earlier. But like, damn, there are just some places that we are just not meant to be as humans. And like,
Oh yeah.
what was it? I think it was Last Breath last week that I was like comparing it to Gravity and like that like thing of like where you travel so much in the space of a movie and like there's that moment where you step back onto solid ground, and I think that's something in like humans' brains that they just kind of understand initially, like that just that difference in that like weird time frame where like you can be like alone on the bottom of the ocean and 10 hours later be back up with everyone else just hanging out kind of thing. And that's just a weird thing to think about, as opposed to, and I think that it was also in Last Breath, but I think they bring it up in this where they're like, it's basically going to space underwater, right? Like on Earth kind of thing, in terms of like the amount of pressure you're under, the amount of things that can go wrong, the kind of like, fabricated atmosphere that you kind of like have to go about. And I think that's a really interesting just concept or like foil for a story at any time. It's the humans going where they're not supposed to go, but we are using our own ingenuity and our own creativity to allow us to be there. And sometimes things can go wrong. And I think that is always a fertile ground for storytelling and for those stories we tell to other people and to each other kind of thing. We don't keep those stories to ourselves. We share them and spread them across the thing, and they become urban legends, but they also become like ways to keep us in line as well too, right? Like that's what folklore is. It's all lessons that you learn overall. I'm fucking way off track here, guys. I'm sorry, but like,
No, I'm with it though.
No, don't worry, you're good.
I just got deep into a cut there for a second. But yeah, I just solid B movie. Like that's where I'm at.
Yeah, and I would follow that up to kind of echo here that if this movie is of interest to you, I should say, and this is more of like a monster flick to its core, right? But if you are interested in like that HP Lovecraftian horror, there's a lot of avenues here, right? You look at your cosmic horrors, your Annihilation. You look at your Empty Man, which is ironically around the same time.
Sure.
Which is like a COVID dump movie that no one really heard of.
Man.
That I would argue is significantly better than this film.
One we should probably get on the pod.
Pretty damn good.
One we should probably get on the pod at some point. Like
yeah. But they're all
that might be a Halloween. Blake and Nathaniel come together to get the other guys to watch the Empty Man.
For sure. And that was actually a recommendation after Underwater on Hulu. Like the next film up was The Empty Man, and that's when it hit me.
Sure.
But yeah, all those cosmic horror, Lovecraftian horror. It's a different subgenre of horror we haven't really binged in that much, but there's some good stuff out there, man.
Yeah, it's it's interesting because I feel like cosmic horror is so often the twist in a horror movie. Like you'll watch it and be like, oh, all of a sudden it's going cosmic. I didn't expect it to go there. It's very rare that you're like from the outset you're like, no, this is a cosmic horror movie as well too, kind of thing. So I think that's part of it. But yeah, I'm with you. I'm down for watching Empty Man too.
Yeah, let's do it. So I think that's everyone's thoughts, unless Ty and Adam here want to throw something in. Otherwise, let's get it up there.
Yeah,
no, I'm good.
Really,
throw it up
really quick. I heard I was looking into the lore of this movie, and turns out Doge actually cut the department that manages the bulkhead breaching, and I think we should really be watching out for that.
Someone should worry about that.
Someone should, someone should do something about that. I don't think that should happen.
So you're saying all underwater drilling is now at risk because of Elon Musk?
Absolutely.
You know what Elon Musk is
that's what
short
I took
for?
away from this movie. Oh God.
Elongated
I have
muskrat.
no idea. Has anyone actually seen a muskrat before? Obviously not in person. They're not really where we're at.
I've only seen the elongated version, and I'm not impressed.
The elongated human form.
Yeah.
Yeah. They look very similar. They're rodents, so they look very
I feel
similar
like
to
I've
capybaras.
seen one
and
of
I love
these in like a
capybaras.
zoo.
Yeah, man, they're huge.
Someone
I
was
think they're
saying,
the second largest rodent, if I'm not mistaken.
bro, someone was saying that they found out that cows are technically related to rodents. So they're technically the biggest rodent. Yeah.
No, I'm not. I don't know if I'm jacking that, fellas.
Yeah, I don't know if I can buy that.
What other thing would
I'm
what
not
other
buying
thing would a
what you're
cow
selling
be?
there,
What
Nathaniel.
else is a cow be besides a rodent?
A mammal?
Are
they mammals?
rodents not mammals?
I mean, I
They
guess
breathe
right?
air.
And that's why I was gonna say a rodent, but then I caught myself that that's a different like class of animal.
Yeah.
So I don't know indefinitely what they would be to
All
answer
right.
your
Well,
question.
hang on. I really quick.
Like,
I'm going
I-
to welcome back listeners who skipped over spoiler segment because they need to hear this argument. Is a cow a rodent? I really don't know. I'm gonna
I
try to
think you would have to dig into like what actually makes a rodent. And without Googling it, I know a key factor in rodents is that their teeth constantly grow, so they have to graze and chew on things to lower their teeth.
Is a cow
And
not
to
like
my
that?
understanding, cows do constantly eat. And I think that's part of why they have those two large teeth. Like
Man, you
all
are.
rodents have those two teeth that like interchange. I'm doing like a visual aid here, right? But
it's eradicate.
Dude,
I think cows do have teeth like that. So like, it's plausible.
We need you in like the zoology field or something because there's zoology field.
Nope, zootology. It's up there with symbology.
Symbology. Google AI's response to is a cow a rodent says no, a cow is not a rodent. Cows are hoofed mammals belonging to the Bovidae family, while rodents are characterized by their gnawing teeth and belong to the order Rodentia.
There it is.
I
Wait.
misread it, but there was something there.
What is a rodent is basically characterized by having a single pair of continuously growing
No shit. So that's really the
incisors.
distinctive.
Yeah,
Yep.
incisors in both upper and lower jaws,
Yep.
specialized for gnawing.
Yep. That's what makes rodents. That's why they always chew on things, right? Beavers, rats,
No shit.
all those things.
Take that,
Squirrels.
Nathaniel.
Yeah, they
I'm
chew
sorry.
on traditionally
Are cows
hard,
not conditionally chewing?
objects. But they are, to your point, you know. So yeah, I don't know.
This is. Can we not
Yeah.
define cows as
Yeah.
rodents? Is all I'm saying.
And then the next layer, I mean, all rodents are also mammals, so you could have a point.
yeah,
that
well,
just-
there's
It makes me uncomfortable thinking cows are rodents, though.
because you eat cows.
Yeah.
Whatever, dude.
And
If push came to shove, I'd eat a rodent.
I was like, well, if cows are going to identify as
Is it the
rodents,
milk
I
thing,
absolutely eat
then?
rodents.
It's because you get milk from cows. Like, what is?
Nah, if push
I mean,
comes to shove, I'd milk a rodent.
I was like, you got to think like, and I was going to say, Tyler's onto something. 'Cause you got to think like, rodents are mammals, and one of the keys to mammals is you can produce milk, right? So like, rodents can definitely produce milk.
I
Like,
mean,
you can
the fact that we drink cow milk.
You can milk a muskrat
The
and
fact
drink it.
The fact that we drink cow milk is really weird if you start to think
It
about it
is.
for like too long, where you're just like, why do we have another animal that we're just like, yep, that's the one.
That's weird. Yeah. So who's
I
to
don't
say
know.
like we can't just get a muskrat farm and like milk all the female muskrats?
That's,
and
hey man, a
consume
lot of
milk?
people are into goat milk right now. Muskrats.
Who's to say the
Next.
FDA is not already supplementing some of our cow's milk with rat milk now?
They've got an elongated muskrat in
Yeah.
the government right now. He's probably getting all his brother and sister in.
You think he's
Up
you think he's
there.
lactating?
Yeah. I think Elon Musk is controlled by an elongated muskrat as some sort of kaiju.
He's the
Meat shell.
he's the kaiju of muskrats.
Yeah, he's a
Is
meat
that what we're
shell.
saying?
He's a meat shell, and someone is controlling him.
He's the Charlie Day from the second one.
Yes.
He's just
Yes.
constantly trying to
Or
mind
th-
fusion with a kaiju,
or
but it's
the,
a hive brain,
uh,
and now he's technically part of the hive brain.
What is it? Men in Black. The first one where there's the little dude controlling the other guy inside of his head.
Yeah, that's just like a robot though. Technically, he's not. That other thing isn't sentient.
A robot rodent.
Maybe.
We're way off base, guys.
Let's
let's
up
rank it.
on the entry list. For those of you who do not know, the entry list is Back Row Banter's official list of all the movies we have reviewed, regardless of genre, regardless of anything else, all on one fantastic list. It's essentially how we rate our movies, rather than do it out of 5 stars, out of 10, whatever it is. We throw up all the movies we review on a list and see how they compare to one another. If you want to reference the entry list for yourself, you can do so by checking the episode description, where it is linked to my Letterboxd.
Ooh, where are we going, gang? Ooh. I'm just gonna keep repeating things until.
Yeah, this is actually kind of tough. But
Shut the fuck up.
What?
Okay, I think I got mine.
I think I got mine too. Go ahead, Ty.
Fuck.
I don't have mine.
I've got mine.
Go ahead, Adam.
179.
Okay.
Is that
So
too low?
below
Like, I don't
Matrix
know.
Resurrections, above Candyman, new Candyman, but
No. Above Matrix Resurrections,
Oh,
below
sorry.
Napoleon Dynamite, Bodies. I kind of want to put it higher. I don't know. Napoleon Dynamite's the one, and Bodies are the two that are throwing me off a little bit, because I do want to put those.
yeah.
I would put those above, but I would also jump this over above Ferrari at the same time, below Blind Spotting.
Who's our Napoleon hater? Was it you, Blake? Did you
I
connect with
don't
that?
know if I was the hater. I mean, I like the movie,
I'm
but I was probably
Bad
it's probably the lowest ranking of everybody.
I'm
I
also
guess.
I'm also just fucking with you. Like I wouldn't actually qualify you as a hater for any of
Okay,
this.
for sure.
Yeah, I feel like this is, I don't know. That might be a little low. I could go
Where's the
move this
descent?
up above Ferrari. Descent is,
I mean,
Because we moved it
Last
up,
Voyage
right?
of the Demeter. You
This
know
is
this is
way
better than
up,
Last
dude.
Voyage of the Demeter.
that's true too. I did see
Descent's
that one. That's
112.
another one.
Since 112. Okay, thank you, Tyler.
Yeah. All right, I think
I
I got
don't know.
mine.
Where are you going, Ty?
Let me come back to me. Go to Ty.
I will state this for the record. It is the original spot that I was gonna put it. I overlooked things, and because originally I was thinking 131
Mm-hmm.
below X, above the menu. The menu's still not that good in my opinion.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
But then I scrolled down, saw Trick or Treat, and I was like, that's when
Yeah.
I verbally dropped the F bomb.
Yeah.
You guys all heard that. That you guys all witnessed that. And then I kind of tried to, I started
Listeners.
fighting myself with like Die Hard. Like I don't know, like Die Hard's such a good movie,
Yeah.
and I love The Island, but I think that this can get pushed up a little bit.
Sure.
Just because of what it's doing with what it has. So it's making a lot of lemonade with the few lemons that it has. And it does a great job. So yeah, I'm gonna stick to 131.
Wow, this being above
nice.
Trick or Treat is surprising.
It is
For
tough.
you.
It is tough.
So, like, Tyler, I'm feeling you 100%. And I think if I was looking at this objectively, it would be No Time to Die is the one that, like, is my kind of my hard
For sure.
cap. But there's a couple around there as well, too. So I'm actually going to put this at 148 below Trick or Treat, right above Shang-Chi. I was also going to put it above Us and Pitch Black and No Time to Die. But I think this. I'm okay with that. Like I will, and I'm sure it'll also get moved around as well too. But like for me, the thing that popped out for me was The Creator. I think this is right under The Creator for me, or right above it most part. But then you have some like Stone Cold, like Die Hard. I can't put it above Die Hard. Like Die Hard is just a better movie than this.
Yeah.
Die Hard is a B movie that is actually an A. This is a B movie that knows it's a B and is happy being a B. So
I'm a B.
correct. So I'm gonna put this at 148 below Trick or Treat, above Shang-Chi and the 10 Rings.
Yeah. Great placements here by the fellas, and I'm kind of thinking in the same ballpark here. I mean, I think I scrolled a little further down first, and ironically, I may be one of the highest on this film.
Sure.
But as we know, the entry list, it's hard to rank things. There's a lot of things, a lot of places where you have movies ranked higher than another person, but ultimately the list plays out one way. And I think my seeing Pitch Black at 150, I don't think I can put this above Pitch Black.
Really? Okay.
Where I don't know, but Pitch Black's got a lot of nostalgia tied to me,
Sure,
right? Where
sure,
I
sure.
ultimately don't have the nostalgia tied to yet. Now, maybe if you ask me in 10 years, how do I feel about Underwater, right? Maybe I have that same sentiment I have for Pitch Black. But I think that's where
That's the last movie I saw before I was shoved inside for 2 years.
Yeah, and
There's something to
that's,
say
your
about
point,
that,
I
for
can
sure.
see myself saying that.
Yeah.
Yeah, come 2040, right? When I'm talking to my kids about that.
Yeah.
So I think with 150 being like kind of my hard cap there, I think I'm gonna have to pull the trigger, and I think No Time to Die is gonna be my ceiling, right? So I think I'm actually gonna put this at 152. So that would ironically be right above the last movie we did, or the last water movie we did in Last Breath, and it would be below No Time to Die. So that's where I'm at.
can't-
$1.52.
Can't wait to meet Blake's kid 15 years from now. And just be like, hey, man.
Yeah.
We're on Back Row Banter together. You're about to learn some shit about your
For
about your
sure.
dad.
For sure.
I am gonna amend my ranking. I'll move it up to where I said I would move it 170 below Blind Spotting, above Ferrari.
Okay.
I'm just gonna have to live with the bodies, and Napoleon Dynamite. But those really are the only two that are tripping me up. The other
Yeah,
ones
that's fair.
above those and in between. So it's
Yeah.
like I'll put those addendums there. But
Bodies
170 for me.
isn't a good movie, so makes sense.
That's all right.
Tyler and Nathaniel hate that movie, and I think I'm just
I need to
like
rewatch it to like get a
non-boomer. I was like,
Yeah.
it was actually not that bad.
I genuinely think that you and Adam are on that like dividing line of age. Like
Yeah,
Tyler
for
and I
sure,
are just on the other side.
Yeah.
Like it
It's
truly
trash.
is. It's not a movie. Like I think if I was
It's like
I think if I was 23 when I saw it, I would be so into it. But just I just
If
don't
that
give a fuck.
if the movie that I saw that I watched on Netflix where they were using the machine for the game, if that was in theaters over like Bodies, I would have been like, yo, this movie fucking rocks.
Talking about What's Inside.
Yes.
Is that what it was called?
Yeah.
That movie was good.
So much fun.
Yeah.
yeah. All right, where's that bring us to an average?
Our
here?
average
mathematician.
ranking brings us to 150.25, which actually, funny enough, puts us right below Pitch Black.
I'll
and
take
above
it.
No Time to Die.
Perfect.
I'll take it.
That'll work.
Pretty solid spot. Pretty solid spot.
Just like we drew it
pretty
Yeah.
good.
Exactly.
That's textbook. Love to see it play out that way.
Pretty good. Next week's review, ladies and gentlemen, that'll be our review segment's concluded. Next week's review. We're prepping. We're looking towards the horizon. Or I gotta be careful.
As
with the arm
always.
gesture. Thank God that wasn't on camera. You know,
Your heart goes out.
Well, thanks for telling everyone what hand gesture I kind of similarly did.
FBI, open up.
Yeah, I just
Not anymore.
Again, well, it's not on camera. No one could prove it. Yeah, exactly. No, they're recruiting me at this point. FBI.
The FBI is FBI, please answer our calls. We would like to. You're our new assistant director.
We're looking towards the horizon, ladies and gentlemen. And a bit further out, we do see the movie, a much anticipated one, 28 years later. And so we're gonna start prepping for that. We're gonna get 28 days later.
21
up
Jump
on the
Street.
pod. Well, that would be hilarious. 28 days later is going to be up on the pod next week. That is available on Apple TV. It's saying right now, and Apple TV Plus, but you can rent it other places. But yeah, you go ahead and check that out, and then join us for a review of that next week. My first watch. Anyone
I
else?
was gonna say you haven't seen it, surely, Adam, right?
I'm not.
This is
No, I'm
early Danny Boyle. Which have you seen any Danny
Yeah.
Boyle, like
No, I'm
Slumdog
not, like, too
Millionaire, or
No. I know of Slumdog Millionaire. I
fuck,
know,
what's
know
his
that's a
other
very
one? I
well-known
think he
movie.
did like Steve Jobs, and then he did they
The
were trying-
Fassbender one or the Kutcher one?
Fassbender. They were trying to get
Okay,
him to
good.
do he directed the Bond jump in at the Olympics. I think the Olympics in 2012 were a Danny Boyle production. And then let's see, Shallow Grave. The one you would have seen would have been 28
Got his IMDb
days.
pulled up.
Sunshine? Did you ever see Sunshine? Sunshine's great.
Probably that or 127 hours.
127
He did-
hours. Yeah.
See, I'm familiar with all of these, and he did Yesterday, the Beatles one, from
Sure,
a couple
yeah.
years ago, which
Yeah,
I never
yeah.
saw. I'm familiar with like all of these movies. I've just never seen them.
Yeah.
Ooh, it's time.
And
man.
Train Spotting.
Yeah,
Never
Train
seen it,
Spotting's
but
his
I
big
know-
one.
I know.
Obviously,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's another big
That's
one.
the one I should have.
Yeah,
I
this
should've-
is actually like I think I have almost his entire discography on my watch list. Like,
Yeah, no,
like,
Danny Boyle
there's-
fucking rules.
There's at least
like, he's
6
awesome.
of these movies that are Okay, I'm
Yeah.
excited then.
And
I'm
it's
excited.
Adams. This got
DB.
your boy on there. Early
Killian?
Alex Garland.
Yeah, this is like his
Oh,
Alex
first.
Garland's
acting?
the writer.
Oh,
writer,
He's
yeah.
he's the
Writer,
writer
okay.
on this, and
That's right, I do remember-
the director on 28
28
weeks,
Weeks.
which is
Yep.
the sequel.
Right.
But yeah,
because
so
I
he's
do remember
written all
he's
these.
like I think he's writing, or did he write 28 years
I believe so. Yeah,
They should.
I believe so.
Yeah.
attached to it?
By all means, don't let that guy get away.
He did.
Yeah.
He did do
Yeah.
the writing for that.
So yeah, man, this is earlier, boy. You love Civil War. You like Annihilation.
Yeah. Ex Machina, man.
Ex Machina. Yeah. So this is good,
I'm
man.
excited. I'm excited.
2002.
Shot on DV.
Love a good zombie flick.
Just looks at it looks
Oh, yeah, it's so-
insane.
yeah, this is-
yeah.
Yeah, this is
I'm
this
excited.
movie. You put this on, and like you're like, oh, this takes you back to a time.
Oh,
of
1000%. Yeah.
for sure. This is like tube TV television.
Yeah.
I'm excited because this is probably going to remind me a lot of like the zombie YouTube videos, like Nerf zombie videos that I watched when I was in like middle school. Or
Genuinely,
like,
all those dudes, all of those guys are ripping off 28 Days Later. Like,
Right.
anything that's a fast zombie,
yeah,
28 Days Later.
they started this. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. I'm excited. Can't wait to see it. Check that out. Join us for our review next week. We do and don't have time for watching. We have episode time if anyone has anything they want to talk about, but obviously we are late here. So
Yeah.
Nathaniel has his hand raised. Yes, Mr. Gingrich.
I watched the sumo. It was great.
The
Sumo.
Sumo. I love sumo. It's my thing.
There it
right
is.
now. I've been watching sumo. What else did I've been reading? Been reading
We had
lots.
Formula One.
Watched Formula One. I stayed up to watch that for sure.
I also caught the second half of that race.
Yes, I didn't catch the finish because I stayed up to watch it and fell asleep. But was glad
Oh.
our boys were there, and obviously, great start to the new season.
Go Lando.
Yeah, great start to the new season. Super fun. Where was my watch list? What did I just watch?
Nathaniel, have you been keeping up with common side effects?
You know, I haven't. I wish
Hmm.
I did. It will be on there, but actually, this brings me to my comedy that I watch, Righteous Gemstones. We're on
Oh.
to season 4, episode 2. Fuck,
They've done
man.
4 seasons of those. I've only seen the first. I
Dude,
think.
it
maybe,
is-
maybe a little bit of season 2.
Man, I can't sing its praises enough. Like Righteous Gemstones.
The first season is incredible.
It's
the first season's
it's-
very good.
It's genuinely my favorite show on TV. I think when it is going, it's probably the only comedy, like straight up comedy, that I watch most of the time. Yeah, just an incredible show overall. Danny
It's very
McBride,
good.
hilarious. Everyone in there is so
the whole
good.
class. The
Yeah,
whole
whole
cast.
cast
Yeah,
is
the whole cast.
amazing.
They're all
Um,
killing it in that show.
Yeah,
From
they
what I've
always
seen
get
of it, at
great
least.
guests as well too. That follows through
Mhm.
into all these seasons. They always have amazing music. Like it's one of the shows that I think in like 10 to 15 years, like people will be like, fuck. Like Righteous Gemstones was an underrated gem at the time, and like is just top notch.
No pun intended.
Yeah, no pun intended. So yeah, that's back. Been watching that. Been continuing with Pit. Told us about the Pit last week. The Pit rules. It is
all right.
The Pit is right up my alley. It's an emergency room show where like every time you're about to get the next resolution, something else comes in, and it's just very realistic, and yeah, it's awesome. What else have I been watching? UFC. Watch that all the time, obviously. Formula One just started up. So that's great. We got the baseball season. It's coming quick. We gotta be
Coming very quick. It's kind of already here.
It's already
Cubs
here.
got
Cubs and
fucking
Dodgers.
swept.
The Dodgers are really good at baseball.
Yeah, I can't feel that bad about it because the Dodgers have the best pitching staff that's ever been assembled. And
The Dodgers are
one of the
fucking
best
awful.
offenses.
Yeah.
It's a problem. It's a big problem.
Yeah.
I'm really upset about it.
Turns out
but
deferred money is shit.
kind of a cheat code. I don't know. Hopefully some injury. No, hopefully everyone but Freddie Freeman and Shohei Ohtani, because those are the two Dodgers players I have on my fantasy teams. Everyone but them get injured, and
Probably a good chance
maybe
if
it's
the
not
Dodgers' history is anything to go
they are
by.
very injury prone, and that's the thing about their lineup that does make me feel a little bit better. Is like, yeah, they've got all this deferred money and whatnot, but at the end of the day, it's baseball. Baseball's kind of random. You really need a lot of things to go your way.
Pay 162
And on
games
top of
a
that,
season.
Quite a few of their players are getting older.
Yeah.
And their windows are closing, and their injuries are increasing.
Well, is it Shohei on his second Tommy John?
Yeah, I don't know how much longer he'll pitch. He's going to hit
much.
And hit well for another probably 4 or 5
He'll be
years.
Nelson Cruz for the next 10 years, but yeah.
Potentially. But
I mean, unless you need him as a closer, maybe like as a relief pitcher.
You could hit maybe. Yeah, I don't know how many starts.
I mean, that'd be kind of sick, actually. If you're just like, hey, this is my center fielder, and then like all of a sudden he's closing the ninth for you.
That would be kind of nuts.
That'd be kind of fucking sick.
He's already warm. He's
I mean, like he throws 100. Like,
well, he usually when he's not pitching, he's DH. But I wonder if he would like, all right, well, if I'm not gonna pitch, like put me.
Yeah,
in,
if you're
like,
not gonna start, if you're not gonna start, like use him as a.
He would play right field.
Sure.
In the like
he could be
before the DH was universal.
He could be a right fielder, first baseman, no problem. Like he'll be fine.
Oh, absolutely. He's built for first base, that's for sure. Anyway, yeah, Dodgers suck.
Yeah,
Cubs
fuck the
could be good.
Dodgers, by the way.
Could also F the Dodgers. Cubs could be good. Could also
not F the Dodgers.
Like
fuck
have
the
another.
Dodgers.
Well, fuck the Dodgers. Okay,
thank you.
But the Cubs could.
Papa Schwartz,
could
we're sorry,
be good.
but
could suck. TBD. I don't know. I can't do what they did to me last season, so I'm just trying to keep my expectations in a tame place. I have been keeping up with. Are you done, Nathaniel?
Yeah, go ahead, bro.
I'll do some quick things. I've been keeping up with common side effects. Ty, are you up to date with episode 8? I just watched it like last night or yesterday.
No, I got through 7, so I'll have to watch it.
You're close.
Probably,
Yeah, close
tomorrow.
Yeah. It's been pretty good still. I think the first like 3 episodes are like the funniest they were. The comedy's kind of fallen off a little bit, but I don't know. I'm still invested a little bit and still think it's pretty good. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I would agree. I think there's still some pretty good humor to be had in the first couple episodes than the latter, but overall, I'm still invested in the story. I think it's still very fun. I think it's going to be very interesting to see how it plays out, and the characters are all still really good. So it's just funny to kind of see the natural progression of what humans would be for power and money and all that other stuff. So it is good. It
is like the concept of the show, which I guess I don't know. It's revealed pretty quickly. Can I say what the concept of the show would be? Is that
there's a mushroom that heals people?
Yeah.
There's a mushroom. There's a magic mushroom that can cure everything, every disease. Doesn't matter what it is. Everything that could kill somebody, any injury. If you're, I don't know if they really play this out, but theoretically, like if you lose a limb, like you can grow it back. Like any ailment, it can heal. So it's kind of the whole concept of the show is like a thought experiment of like, all right, well, if a drug like that exists, what happens? Well, like, what could happen? Like, to the world? Like, what does that mean
Yeah,
for
clearly
the
big pharma's
drug
an
industry?
issue.
Yeah,
There's a lot of
exactly. So,
money, so it's just kind
yeah.
of like what would happen if something like that
Yeah,
got out?
but it's also like an animated comedy from Adult Swim, so it's like kind of a mixture of some
For
actual
sure.
like interesting
Adult
concept.
themes and
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
So it's good. Would highly recommend. And as I mentioned, maybe on last week's episode or the week before, it's nice to have a TV show just with 23-minute episodes that I don't have to like
Yeah, it's fun.
find time to watch. Like it's fun to just like, oh, cool. I'll put it on before bed at 20 minutes and I'm done. And then I can go to sleep or something like that. It's like, oh, great. So that's been nice. Watched the first 2 episodes of Invincible season 3. Ty, you caught up with that at all?
For what?
Invincible?
No, I am not.
Okay. Invincible season 3. First 2 episodes are good. I know the season finale just aired, so people are talking about that, but I'm a little behind, so forgive me. But first 2 episodes were good. Excited to see where the season goes. And then I watched the first episode of Severance. I'm gonna try to get through that. I know the season finale for that also just aired. But that's one that just everyone I see online is talking about it. People I know, like a lot of people I know personally, are just talking about it. So it's one of those shows. I'm like, all right, I gotta get on it. And like episode 1, I really enjoyed. And I think the concept is really, really cool. So I'm excited to keep going with it. Have you been watching that, Blake? Seemed like you were.
I've been following it. Haley watches it. She's
Okay.
definitely caught up. So obviously, there's times where you're sitting on the same couch or whatnot in the same
Mhm.
room, kind of glancing up to it. I was held tight till maybe like late in the first season, but you guys know TV shows aren't necessarily my preferred palette. So it's some of the suspense. It's a lot of tension drags on for a long time with TV shows, and sometimes I ultimately clock out. But the premise is actually very, very interesting. So yeah, I think you'll be interested.
Yeah.
You'll be interested.
No, I'm excited to keep going with it because even the first 2 episodes, I'm like, whoa, this is
Oh
just the
yeah,
concept of the show is
I agree.
nuts.
Yeah,
And
I
then
agree.
it feels like it's interesting because I feel like they've already progressed the story very quickly in the first 2 episodes. Where they kind of, and I don't want to spoil like anything because I think if you haven't heard about the show or like don't know what it's about necessarily, even going to the first episode blind is kind of interesting. But the concept, like the kind of concept of the show, they kind of jump to your natural like, oh, like what if these kind of 2 things merge? If you kind of pick up what I'm saying, and it's that happens much quicker than I think a lesser show would do, or much quicker at least than I anticipated. I thought that would be like something maybe happens
What
down
show
the
is
road
this?
more. Severance.
Oh, I watched Severance. I'm
Are you-
I'm an episode or 2 behind now. So
Okay.
I didn't
Okay,
see
okay.
episode 8.
Mhm.
And I guess today
I've
was
only just
episode
watched
9.
like the first episode.
Oh, so you're diving in.
I'm just starting. And I've heard it's really good, but I was just saying how like it's interesting how quickly the 2 kind of worlds merge a little bit, and it happens much quicker than I anticipated.
Yeah, I would say
Um,
the first season moves at a good clip. It may drag 1 or 2 episodes in the back half. And
Sure.
I would say there's a little bit of a slow start to season 2. However, 3 to 4 episodes in, it really picks up again. So
Okay.
yeah, I'm a big fan of Severance. I'm down with Severance.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think I'm gonna like it a lot. So, yeah, that's mostly what I've been watching. Anybody else?
Creator was out this week saying that he was inspired by an episode of Black Mirror.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see that.
Yeah.
The White Christmas episode, if you ever saw that one, with John Hamm. That's kind of like where he got the idea for Severance, which really makes sense once you start to kind of, if you know that episode and everything, for sure.
Yeah.
I like that. All art is just iteration.
Sure. What did Picasso say? The best or good artist borrow, the best artist steal.
Yeah. Ty, Blake, you guys anything you're watching you want to talk about?
Just Formula One, and then started Black Clover, which is
Oh,
an anime that
really?
I've heard some people talk about over the years, and it's got 4 seasons on Netflix, so it made it really easy for me to watch and obtain. So I was
think
like, well, I'm just gonna jump into this.
Season 3, they start to go really hard into filler, but I like Black Clover. I enjoyed it
Yeah,
a lot.
yeah. I never got through it, so I'm gonna take a whack at it. I've got like I'm already like 5 or 6, maybe even 7
Okay,
episodes
so
deep after today. So
Has he met the team yet? Like, has he been sorted into a crew?
yeah, the Black Bulls.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
After he gets to the Black Bulls, I think it really picks up, and it's
Yeah.
super awesome. Love that show. Great.
Yeah,
great
it
show.
picked up almost pretty immediately after they get their first mission, and
Yep.
then they fight like that ice guy. Yeah, it's pretty wild. So
Good.
I'm down. I'm down to clown.
Good shit. I enjoyed Black Clover for sure.
We will see, but I am enjoying it thus far.
I think what was
Blake?
that? Oh, I started watching an anime. By the way, I'm sorry.
No, no worries. Go ahead.
Hanimaru Sumo.
Not familiar
Anime.
with it. Okay.
It's basically like a high school thing where like the guys are like, we should join the sumo team. They're like, no one cares about sumo. You're wrong. There's one guy who cares about sumo. He cares a lot, but he's very short. So yeah, that's the whole thing. Blake, what have you been watching? Tell me.
Yeah. Not a ton, man. I mean, I've kind of been watching Severance in and out with Haley. That's one of the big shows she's into. So
So she
I'm
on
aware of what's going
season
on,
2?
but there's I want to
Okay.
say she's caught up to speed. And I kind of fell behind from like falling asleep certain times and whatnot. But it's held my attention as I was talking to Adam earlier. Outside of that, I don't think I don't think I've gotten to much. Rewatched The Last Voyage of the Demeter in Purgatory, formerly known as Arkansas. So rewatched that, and that I told you that Camp Coral SpongeBob Underyears, which was like a
sounds
prequel to
terrible.
SpongeBob. Please, I encourage any listeners and this podcast to at least look that up, and even the animation. And I was like, this is bad.
I can't
Yeah,
understand your accent.
Yeah. So outside of that, that's really it. I'm watching some NBA basketball. Don't pay a ton attention to college basketball either. To be honest with you, I don't even think I watched a single game today, and probably won't watch a single game the entire tournament. But obviously, I'll see the scores from following different sports pages and whatnot. So, yeah, that's about it on my end. So, I think are we doing plugs and getting out of here, or did we
think
already
so.
do that and I'm missing something?
I
Okay.
know.
No.
Plugs it out.
It's plug time. Please share the podcast, share with a friend, family member, maybe a fellow crewmate on that rig you're on, or a Poseidon Patty. While you're doing that, follow us on Twitter, Banter Row, Instagram, we're Back Row Banter Pod. You know what? I'm gonna stop plugging the Instagram until we get that
Until
up and
we
running again. I
actually
can't
have a thing.
believe. I genuinely, I think we have 3 posts on there. I haven't posted on it. Nothing's been active on that
No.
page since 2020, but
Oh,
I've still
wow.
plugged it every episode and without fail. And you know what? I can't. It's embarrassing at this point. I'm done. I'm done plugging the podcast or the Instagram. So until I
That's tough.
figure
That's
out what we're doing there,
It's our most
I'm done.
reached platform.
Yeah, well, genuinely, I can't believe that I'm still plugging it at this point. We'll figure that out.
I'm pretty
done
sure
doing
I
it.
lost
Anyway.
access to it like 2 years ago. So like,
Well, anyway, our YouTube is Back Row Banter, and our email is backrowbanterpod@gmail.com. BlakeHolder, where can the people find you at, my man?
Yo, Letterboxd, BlakeHolder, be on there, log some things, rate them out of 5 stars. Even gave a like to Underwater. Outside of that, PSN, Mr. Watercoolers, Xbox Mr. Watercoolers told the gang I have unfortunately indulged in Call of Duty. recently. So we'll see if I jump back on it. And I've also learned that Marvel Rivals is free. Shout out to Ty. So we'll see what's going on. I may put my foot a little further into kind of that Xbox Online gaming instead of just basically playing mindless Mortal Kombat on PlayStation 5. So that's where I'm at, and we'll pass it to Tyler.
You can find me on Instagram, Letterboxd, and X, all Tyler Vidalis, Vidales, Nathaniel.
Yeah, you can
Get
find
us
me
out of here.
on Instagram at Mrs. Officer. You can find me on Instagram also under Nathaniel C92, as well as Twitter and Letterboxd at NS Gingrich. Blake did not catch that at all.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, I was reading something.
No,
but-
you were Mr. Water Coolers. I was Mrs. Officer.
Okay. Okay, for sure.
For my
For sure. That's funny.
PSN or whatever. But yeah,
That's
we'll be
fucking
back.
funny,
We'll
yeah.
be back next week, folks. We'll be RB.
America. Ready for another lesson.
God, I don't know. I love this tournament.
My
Even
two,
though-
honestly,
even
I
though-
I
don't
can't.
even though Mizzou-
Genuinely, I can't wait until the period in my life where I find basketball interesting, because it's going to be so great. Like it'll be really awesome. It'll probably be after
Yeah.
all of you guys are no longer interested in it. But like,
Yeah.
I mean,
if I've learned,
I just got into basketball, relatively speaking. Like I only got into it like 2 or 3 years ago,
Uh-huh.
and I mean, I've always, especially college or like March Madness in college, like I have watched in the past.
Yeah, that's
I
like the
wouldn't say,
easy
I'm-
buy-in, right? If anything,
Yeah.
Nathaniel probably picks that up before he picks up anything else.
Yeah. But like really, I've got like really into basketball in the past like 2 or 3 years because of fantasy. And like a lot of my friends doing that stuff, and then I got into fantasy league, and then it's just like, oh, now I'm just watching games and stuff and really enjoying it. But anyway, to me, March Madness is like, I don't know, the whole like one and done thing. Like anyone can just kind of have a good night, and if you have a down night, like anyone can almost beat anyone to an extent. Obviously, like it's not like a 16 seeds winning the national championship anytime.
The
soon,
stakes are
but,
high.
You just, it's single elimination, man. It's entertaining.
yeah,
I
mean,
death.
that's cool.
Basically, yeah.
I mean, I can see the appeal. 100%, I can see the appeal. I
Yeah.
just like
Mhm.
there's other things like it's never been that interesting. I think the thing that will unlock it for me will be understanding the spacing on the floor better and like the positioning
Sure.
of the players and stuff. Because like when I've watched, and particularly like in person, that's the thing I find interesting is like how they like create space or something like that.
Yeah.
And I think that'll be my connection in. But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of one of those things where like I find it tough for sports where like one person can really just change everything for a team. I'd
Mhm.
rather see that one person be like one-on-one with someone else. I feel like
Yeah.
more like what you get in like boxing or fighting or something.
Formula
like
Yeah.
that.
Formula Un.
Formula Un.